cool. All right, we're good. So, guys, smash out that like button. Again, we're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook right now. So, if you're on YouTube and you want to support, smash that like button, share out the live. You can send a super chat if you're on Facebook to support, like, share, comment, subscribe, and you can send also stars to support. So, I know you're on a tight schedule right now. So, let's go ahead and just dive into it because everyone's waiting right now. I'll go ahead and let you start and speak because I know you mentioned yesterday you kind of wanted to elaborate. So let's kind of go back to the Beanstalk and Cass situation. If you want to just go ahead and start there, maybe we can get into a little bit of Nationals or what you're going to do at Nationals or whatnot.
Okay.
So
I was watching it. I think it was good. I think what you did was great. I honestly have no issues with it at all. The Cash and Beanstalk situation, it was a planned, it was a planned strategic marketing. It worked really well. It made me my biggest sell ever. So I don't regret anything of it, including the conversations I had on camera. So nothing is by accident over here. I hear a lot of people talking about, you started off before everyone else, that's why you're ahead, or blah, 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 blah. I wanna say something, and you can call me arrogant if you want. You guys have it easy, really easy. Because when I started, there were no American bullies. There was like a handful in the whole country, and you had to build on a stock that had shit genetic. You had to build on an American bully whose pedigree behind it had 100 years of fits and Amstaff, okay? So every time you bred that dog, you got nothing but whippets. You know what whip is? I don't even know if you guys know that term. It's the term we used to use back in the day. We don't use it anymore because we don't get whippets anymore.
Dogs?
Yeah, you would get a dog with a long, snipey muzzle and a great body, or you would get a dog with a shit body and a beautiful head, or you would get a shit dog all around, or you would get a dog that looked more like a Boston Terrier or a English bulldog, or God knows what the hell was coming out of your dogs. Like, it was a big mess, and you don't know who did what. And I'm gonna tell you something else. I don't care what papers on the dogs. People had their dogs tied up in the backyard on chains, and you don't know who mounted that bitch in the yard. Every street dog has been in that area. You can get a dog with long hair, a pit bull with long hair. I've seen it all. You'd have a litter of 6 dogs with maybe 3 different daddies. Mm-hmm. So the shit that we dealt with back in the day, Dave, me, and all of those guys, you guys don't have to deal with that. We built a foundation and we handed it to you guys, and now you guys are walking around like, oh, Bashar, he started before. No. I started same time you guys did. Because when I started, I had to get to where you guys are coming off today, is when you guys start getting the good stuff, is when I started getting the good stuff. And it was handed from breeders like me to you guys.
What year did you start?
First breeding I did ever was 2001, but I didn't really start till 2007 to be serious. 2001 to 2007, I was breeding XLs, and I was learning. I was just learning things, and I was doing it for fun. One breeding a year, maybe 2 every year, something like that. I think by 2007, I had like 4 breedings under my belt. Mm-hmm. That was nothing. It was a joke. In 2007, I took it seriously, and I franchised the company. Started the company. By 2008, I started franchising it. By 2009, I was all over the world. So in the first 2 years, I was pretty much dominating the market. From the time I said, you know what, I'm going to take this to the next level. At first, it was just for fun. Yeah. So we had to build these dogs with the genetic pool that they have today. So when you guys are breeding American bullies and you're getting a litter of American bullies, we didn't have that. Okay, you guys have no idea. I have pictures. One day I will post them and show you what people were producing. When I tell you that you couldn't tell an Amstaff from a bully, you guys see the classics today? That back then was considered extreme. Yeah. Your classics today.
Yeah.
Back in those days was like, damn, that's a badass dog.
Yeah.
Today you're like, that's a pit. True. All right. So you guys don't know. So when you guys say, oh, Bashar's, no. We're the guys who gave you the foundation you have today. The guys have stuck around all this time building these gene pools. That's us. So don't take that from us. We worked hard for it and we handed it to you. So not for free, because it wasn't free for us to build. And the ones that didn't last as long as we did is because they ran out of money and time, and they didn't have the patience or the, how do I say, maybe the environment that they were in wasn't allowing them to continue. You know, maybe a nagging wife or a nagging husband or nagging parents or whatever the situation was that was holding them back.
And social media
You know,
was different back then as well. Social
yeah,
media
we had
helped a lot
MSN
of
boards.
creators today.
Yeah, we had MSN boards.
Yeah.
And those are the days where we had to go to a show to do a stack off. I had to fly with my dogs to California to show people what I really had, because pictures didn't mean nothing. So, you know, you have the hype dog at the time and you got to go, like, here's a stack off. So that's the one thing I want to clear out. The second thing I want to clear out is, oh, Bashar ran the stack off by his rules. I didn't make the rules. Stack off rules have been around before me. I didn't make those.
Okay, so let's kind of talk about that right there, though. So, what were the rules? Because there does seem to be some confusion around what was the purpose of the stack off, and what was the stack off based around? Was it based around overall dog, overall extreme?
Okay, I wanna say two things. Number one, before we even go and explain to you what a stack off is, why is it even a conversation? Beanstalk measured an inch shorter than Cash and 4-inch wider, more bone, 2-inch bigger head, and clearly a lot heavier. So what did Cash had more than Beanstalk? Not one item. So all this, oh, he's the better all-around dog, the better all-around dog. Those were just words based on favoritism and people who don't like Muscletone. He might have, I will give him that. He had a prettier head. His head was prettier than Beanstalk.
Hey,
it really was.
1 second, Bashar.
You know?
Can you give me 1 second? Hey, is there any feedback? I see someone said there's some feedback. I just want to make sure.
Probably. Because of the noise cancellation.
Yeah, sorry guys, because this was kind of like it wasn't planned. It's kind of a little.
Let me try to remove noise cancellation on my end.
Okay, Bashar said it's noise cancellation on his end. They said it's a slight echo. All right.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I'm going to put my headphones on. I'm going to have to be a little close to my screen.
No, I lost you there. I can't do it that way.
Oh, they said the sound is better.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, all right. So there was the whole point of Bashar played by his rules. It wasn't by my rules. It never was by my rules. The dog just lost a stack off. Like, you win some, you lose some. That's life. You just move on. Okay. The dog lost a stack off, but nobody lost. See, at the end of the day, you guys have your perception of things, and your perception is what makes you see what you see. It doesn't make it reality. All right. So reality is numbers. We measured everything. I had told Jeremiah at the time. Are you still listening? Because I don't see you. Is it working? Can you hear me? I told Jeremiah, for marketing purposes, and it was not for my favors, it was for Jeremiah's favor. I was looking out for him. I said, no trophies, no judges, none of that. Because if you have a winner, you're going to lose the debate on who the better dog is. It's been established who it is. You want them to keep talking and arguing over which one is the better dog. The longer people argue and talk, the longer the marketing keeps on going. Okay? The marketing before a fight is much better than after the fight, because it's done. No one gives a shit now. You know, you're gonna have some people talking about it, but it's dying down. So that was the purpose of not doing that. But some people got to his head and told him that I was afraid, that I was gonna lose. I wasn't afraid. I already knew I was gonna win. I already knew, because I seen Cash next to one of my productions, and he barely stacked to that dog. So I wasn't worried about it. I lost you there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just have myself muted just in case my sound was kind of interfering. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's working good.
You said you already knew you were going to win.
Of course. Yeah.
Why did you feel like you already knew you were going to win?
I hadn't seen Cash in person, but I've been doing this a long time, and I know what a dog looks like and measures like. When the numbers Jeremiah gave me, I knew they weren't real. Okay, it's very simple. I know what dogs weigh and what they are based on my program and my dogs that I've been measuring for over 20 years, right? So when someone tells me a dog is 14 inches tall, okay, and carries a 28-inch head, and I could tell that the dog's head at 28 inches is wider than his frame of his shoulders, which tells me the dog's not proportioned. So the dog can't weigh no 90 pounds. Okay. The reason Beanstalk in pictures don't look as massive as some other dogs is because he's proportioned. That's the point of the breed. He's proportioned. His head is proportioned to his shoulders level. His chest spread is proportioned to his length. His length is proportioned to his height. So is he short back? No, he's not short back, but he's proportioned. That's how he carries the mass that he carries. So when the dog's shoulders sit underneath him and the head is as wide as the shoulders and the head is at 28 inches, which it was not, it was 25 3/4, but let's just say it was 28. There's no way that the dog is that wide, because the dog should be another 3-4 inches wider to be able to outstack Beanstalk at that point, because Beanstalk did have a 27 3/4 inch head, which is just under 28. So I knew that he was going to lose the stack just based on that status. Plus, I had seen him next to a couple of my Bean sons he stacked against that were about his size. They weren't far off from what he was stacking at, and I knew that Beanstalk was way bigger than those dogs because they've been in my yard. So I already knew what I was looking at. So I wasn't concerned. That's number one. Could I have been wrong? Anybody could be wrong at any given time. No one has no guarantee. But I had a good feeling that I was not going to lose. But I didn't want Jeremiah to lose. I didn't want that. That was never my intention. Okay? I didn't get where I am, and this is something all of you need to get straight. I didn't get where I am by taking other people down. I've never, ever done that. No, actually, I've gotten where I am by helping people up. Okay? Everybody's been helped up from our program. Everybody. Not just my partners, but everybody. Everyone who has Muscletone in their dog, everyone who has Muscletone blood in their yard, anyone who's purchased a puppy from us, and even those who don't have our blood are benefiting from our marketing and our valuing the breed up in price. Okay? Because it's real estate. The breed was selling for $500 to $1,500 when I started. Okay? $1,500 was a good sale on a puppy back in the mid 2000s. All right? $5,000 was like, damn, you're making some money. $5,000 is the last pick. That happened with Muscletone. We did that. We did that for everyone. We're the ones who sold dogs for $750,000, $1 million, $2 million, $4 million. We're the ones who did that. We're the ones who sold dogs left and right, puppies for over $100,000. No one did that. So when we did that for you guys, you're all benefiting from this. So when I hear people talking crap left and right now, but you're talking all that shit, but you're benefiting from what we've given. So why are you talking shit? Simple. It's easier to talk shit and bring someone down than it is to put in the work to catch up to them. So if you bring someone down verbally, you make yourself feel better that you're closer to that line that you need to be at, but it's not reality, my friend. It's just imagination. You're still where you're at. We're still here. We're still on top. You haven't brought us down by talking. Instead, the smart thing to do would be, hey, these guys are doing something right. Let me learn something, maybe invest in that. And that is where I've always been helping people. And when Jeremiah came to me, there was no beef. I love Jeremiah. Comes to me down tomorrow, I'll help him out. I have no problem with Khan. Me and Khan go back and forth, Khan gets a little bit sensitive when things are said. I personally don't care. But at the end of the day, I have no problem with Khan. I love him. Huh?
Like you said, it was all strategic planning for you, because it did start out with Jeremiah and Eddie backed out, and then like a week or two later.
I knew nothing about that.
You didn't know anything about that?
No. Well, what happened was Jeremiah was calling out, what's his name? I forget my own dog's names, man. Too many of them. Nemesis.
Nemesis. Oh, okay.
He was calling out Nemesis. And Ryan was like, I'm going to smash this guy. And he was going to send Nemesis over here. And I was like, we're not doing all that. We're not putting over $1 million dog on a plane, risking his life for a stupid stack off. I'm not doing that. We'll do Beanstalk. Okay? That's it. It's that simple. Beanstalk and Nemesis are about neck to neck in width in the front. Beanstalk a little bigger head and a little wider in the rear, but in the front, they're about the same, Nemesis might actually have a little more spread. Might. So if you can't beat Beanstalk, you're not going to beat Nemesis. So it was that simple. And that's what the whole thing approached. It was just to settle that case, you know? And I just saw it as an opportunity for marketing. So, and I used it. I can't hear you.
I keep putting myself on mute. Okay, yeah, I told my audience that when we talked about it a few times. I said Bashar done this was all strategic, you know. I look at you as a businessman. Obviously, you know, you've done something that a lot of breeders are likely trying to do. You know, you have franchise and stuff like I haven't seen a brand do it, a kennel brand do it yet. For me, I took it. I'm like, this is all strategic marketing. However, I do believe that you and Jeremiah both benefited
Absolutely.
from this.
Absolutely, so, we both did.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, as far as when that happened, as far as the what you said, no Grimm Blood thing, I didn't know about that, and probably until I don't wait after the stack off when someone shared the video, and I was just like, oh, so it's actually more like that happened there at the stack off. How did that come about? How did you get on that conversation with you saying
Jeremiah made a comment about why he had to pay $5K to stack off to Beanstalk, blah, blah, blah. And I was trying to explain to him it was a marketing situation, that the views he was going to get, the attention he was going to get, you know. I mean, you gotta look at the big picture. You know, I had Roy Jones over here. You know, we had to fly him in for that. The $5,000, it was nothing. The only reason I made Jeremiah pay the $5,000, it was so that people can say, I can't believe Jeremiah paid $5,000 to stack off to this dog. We're gonna tune in. That is the only reason. You think I would give a shit about $5,000? Please, I'll spend that on a restaurant in one night. It's really a principle thing so that everyone can talk. It was to help Jeremiah out. That's why I made Jeremiah pay the $5,000.
I said this. I told, we went live about that. I said this stuff on my live. I said, this is all like, I even did a live recently and said the same thing. I said, Bashar is very strategic. I mean, but you have to be when you're in business.
Got to be. You have to. It's marketing. So when he was in here, he was like, Khan, don't make me pay nothing to stack up to his dog, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's not the same level, bro. We're not comparing the same thing here. Okay, this is we're an enterprise. We're a big company. The views you get being in my yard stacking to my dog and the views you're going to get being at Khan's place stacking to his dog are nowhere near the same. The clients are going to see your dog. Roy Jones didn't know who the hell Cash was. He didn't know who Jeremiah was. Mike Tyson didn't know who he was. My billionaire clients in the Middle East didn't know who he was. They do now. You think you would have got those views he was stacked up in the dog with Khan? No, because they don't follow Khan, right? So it's a different, and it's nothing to put Khan down. You guys don't take it wrong. This is just facts. Do not mistake what I'm saying for something like I'm putting someone down. I'm not. Khan's done great for himself, and I've always complimented his dogs. But it is what it is. We've built this enterprise in a different way. So our clients are different. So if you want these type of clients with their eyes on you, this is where you come. So you can't say, Khan, don't charge me $5,000 to stack. You're right. But if Khan would have charged you $5,000 to stack to his dog, you would have gotten more views than if he didn't charge you. But he can see it that way. He couldn't understand that marketing strategy. And that was the point of the conversation. You're not seeing the big picture. We're an enterprise. We're a big company. When we do things, it has a different effect than when Khan or someone else does something. And it's just facts. It's not belittling anyone. So I come across as arrogant, and I don't care if you guys want to say I'm arrogant, that's fine. But arrogance and honesty are very often confused. So if I speak facts or I speak truth and I speak it straight out the way I do without any filter, you take it as arrogance. That's fine. Take it as arrogance. It doesn't affect me. The results are the same on my end. That you talk bad about me or that you talk good about me, I'm going to sell the same thing. So it doesn't make a difference to me. So you could either hear me out and say, oh, okay, Bashar's making some points, maybe pay attention, or you can hear me out and say, oh, this asshole's an arrogant piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. I don't care what you say, because at the end of the day, it's the same for me, but it's not the same for you, because your perception of what I said could either leave you where you're standing, alter your views, or make it better. That's up to you. So, but to me, it's the same because it doesn't affect me. So that's the point that I was trying to get him across. And the whole line thing. when we were talking about 1.5 generation, we were talking about Cash because he was saying he's Grimm Blood. Yeah. Cash is not 4 or 5 generations of Grimm. Okay, so that's why I said it's what 1.5 generation. That's not okay. But even 4 generations. Let me try to explain to you a bloodline. First of all, everyone's calling their dogs a line now, and it started off with Dak's line. Okay, and I love Ed, and Ed didn't start Dak's line. It started off somewhere else, and Ed just rolled on with it. And I think Ed thought he had a line because he had, 2,000-3,000 offsprings off of Dax, which is, I don't even have that off any dog, not even close. I think the most I have is Magoo, who's going on 12, 13 years old, and he might have 200 offsprings, Wow. So yeah, so we're talking, a very serious amount of offsprings. But out of those, 2,000 some offspring, he had a good 25, 30 badass dogs, badass, But that's a small percentage. But he felt that because he had so many offsprings that Dax was a line. I can't deny him that because that's a big number of productions. So you could say, okay, well, the dog has so many offsprings, he has a line. But that's not how a line is built. And the reason for it is simple. It takes more than one dog to build a line. You can't have a dog and call it Magoo line. That's some invented shit again. I don't have Magoo line. No, we're Muscletone. Okay, we have more than just Magoo. So
would it be Muscletone?
Right.
Like
it'd be Muscletone. Our line is Muscletone.
Okay.
And it wasn't a line until 2 things were in effect. Number 1, we had at least 6 generation top and bottom. 6.
Okay.
So the 7th generation is considered the bloodline. And only if in those 7, on that 7th generation, we have a consistent look, which we do. I don't care where you go, you could see a dog and you can know if there's Muscletone in it. Even if it's one Muscletone dog in it, you'll recognize it.
That's true.
Okay? I saw 2 or 3 dogs yesterday, didn't know their pedigree at all. And I said, what's the ped? Is there Muscletone in that dog? Because it looks just like Muscletone. And there was either 2 generations back, 4 generations back, or one of them was 7 generations back. R2G2. I love that dog. First time I saw him, I think it was a week ago. I've been noticing him. I didn't know his pedigree. I knew nothing. Nothing. But I could see Muscletone in the dog. It's like 6 generations back. It's way back. I could still see it through him. That's when you have a line. So when you say this person,
G2.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I never knew that because I don't.
You know that either. But I could see it in the dog. I'm like, man, this dog looks just like my dog's. This is my dog's build.
Wow.
How the hell did he get this build without my dog's? And when I talked to the owner, whoever that I messaged on the comment, he replied to me because no, he does have Magoo in him. It's a few generations back.
Paris, yeah.
Right. But you can see it in him. So
do you think that will explain the muscles that the dogs like Golden Child?
Yes, because Golden Child, I didn't know that either. I found out yesterday that Golden Child had Muscletone in him also.
Okay.
So I didn't know that, but it's in the pedigree. Now he's not a Muscletone dog.
Right.
By no means. This is the production of the owner, and it's his dog, and it's his production. We get no credit for that. But you see the line through it. When you have that kind of consistency, right? So when you have that kind of consistency, you can say you have a line.
Mm-hmm.
So all these people claiming they have a line, even people very close to me that do it, and I try to explain it to them. But I'm not here to tell people what to call their blood or what to call their kennel or what that doesn't make a difference to me, right? But if you truly want to be accurate on things, that's how a line is made. And you can talk to Dave Wilson about that. You can talk to Big Kev from Midwest Monster. Now that's a line. He's been around forever. He's been around longer than me. And his dog are consistent. I recognize a Midwest Monster dog anywhere I go. Razor's Edge Dave didn't breed for a long time. Yet, I recognize a Razor's Edge dog today when I see it. So that's a line. So you can't just claim a line because you have a little bit of consistency in your puppy state, especially being that it's so easy now, because we finally have a real breed. But we start off building this breed from nothing.
And if we took Grimm out, let's take Grimm out in Rocco, where Grimm obviously comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say Rocco's the line?
I don't know enough of the offsprings and great offsprings and the pedigrees themselves to be able to answer that question. I would have to really go and study it and look at it to even answer it. I don't know how many generations Khan has. Also, were they all produced by him? Is it done by one person? Because a line is not done by multiple breeders. It's done by one kennel, right?
So it's like a
So one
project.
vision. Correct. So if you're like, if you got a stud and you're studying him left and right, like Ed Shepherd did, for example, and everyone's producing different things off of the dog, and some of it look like the dad, that doesn't give you a line. That just gives you a bunch of offsprings of the dog, right? To have a line is strategic, okay? So when we brought Yoshi, Rock and Ruby, when we brought Denzel, when we brought Corrupt, when we brought some of the Midwest Monster stuff in our pedigree, like 15, 16 years ago, we were building blocks to make a line, right? And they were to get the rears we wanted, the necks we wanted, the shoulders we wanted, the spread we wanted, the head size we wanted. And then as in when we got what we wanted with different lines, we start to incorporate them together so we're not inbreeding. I didn't line breed until after Magoo. So once we started line breeding, then we start slowly building a line. When I had Magoo wasn't a line yet. Even though I had several generations behind him, it wasn't a line yet. When I was breeding Magoo to dogs who had 5 generations of my stuff, it wasn't a line yet because Magoo wasn't 5 generation. So it took years. I would say I wasn't a line until 4 years ago. So for people to say they have a line, they started 3 years ago, I'm like, how the hell did you pull that off? I mean, your dog's dropping puppies at 3 months. So it's not really possible. But at the end of the day, that's not important. If someone wants to call their dogs a line, well, then call your dog a line. Doesn't make it so, but you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, it's starting to make a lot of, now that you explain it that way, it makes sense. Because now that I look at the dogs today, because I always say, because I'm more of a fan of what you started, the Magoos and the Beans, the Casablancas and the Beanstocks. But now that you explain it that way, it makes sense because I do see a lot of dogs now, and I can look at a dog and be like, oh, this dog has nemesis or something. Or like you said, you can look at a dog and be like, this dog comes from Muscletone.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. So you're saying, like, you would say until 4 years ago that you have a line.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. That's what I would say. I mean, don't quote me accurately on the year. I really haven't counted or actually sat down and looked at it because I really don't care about that stuff. But I would say approximately, yeah, not that long ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, not that long ago. Now, that's another thing. There's another issue that people always have too. Is you mistake nostalgia and reality. Mm-hmm. So we all have these pictures we see on the internet and we remember, oh my God, Magoo was so beautiful. Magoo was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, Kaza was so amazing. He was. Bean, I still love Bean. I think one of the greatest dogs of all time. But where do you go from there? Right? Kaza was better than Magoo. Bean was better than Kaza. Where do you go from there? Mm-hmm. So you got to go bigger, right? So we had a lot of dogs that you guys are not naming. Claude was killing the show ring. Killing it. If Claude came to the United States and spent a year here, nobody would have won in those days. He would have shut the ring every day like he did in Europe. He never lost. If you saw the trophy Piotr has in his house, the room of trophies that dog has, it's unreal. And it didn't matter where he went. It didn't matter what registry, what show. He was shutting everything down. Okay, so that's another one of our productions. Claude was born in my house. So, that was with the first dog I handed Piotr. So you got Bison. You got Apollo. Apollo's a phenomenal specimen. So today, he's probably my favorite dog. He's a better version of Kaza. Same neck, same head in black. More bone, better structure, better movement, better top line. His top line is unbelievable. You can't make that dog high in the rear if you tried. It's like, boom, straight. Angulations are unreal. His back legs, the bone on him is like tree trunks. And he's old. He's 7, 8 years old. So he's not young, Apollo. So we had these dogs from a long time, and everyone seems to name the big 3 that sold for a lot of money. Those are the ones you remember. See? You pay attention to that? You remember the dogs that sold for a lot of money. You forget the guys that we still carry here that we haven't sold.
I believe I remember them because I was so young, and I've never seen dogs like that. Because when you started 2007, I was
nobody had dogs like that.
2004, I was in like the 4th grade, 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah, but even in 2010, 11, 12, when Magoo was a pup, Nobody had dogs like that. We were ahead, you know? So, especially for the amount of dogs we had that looked like that and the consistency that we were already producing. But today, we had to go past that. And if you go back and you watch an interview or a video that I made, I think was in 2018 or 17 when Beanstalk wasn't even born yet.
Mm-hmm.
I had a little brindle dog named Solo, and I made a video. Solo died. Got a snake bite. Him and Apollo attacked a rattlesnake outside, and they got both messed up. Apollo's leg completely destroyed, and he got bit in the neck, and it swelled up, stopped him from breeding. I couldn't get him to the emergency fast enough. So, but I'll send you a picture. Probably one of the most beautiful dogs you'll ever see was Solo. So when he was young as a pup, everyone was asking, "What's the step? What's the step?" Because Bean was the big name dog at the time, and he hasn't sold yet. And I said, the next step is we're going to lose the show, or we're going to go to extreme. So we're not going to be able to show. We're going to have some flaws. We're going to have this. We're going to have that. But we're going to come back with a bigger, better, stronger version of the show dogs with more consistency. And the issue is that because when you get a clean, nice dog like Bean that's extreme, and you start to breed them, they shrink. So I need to go bigger. Mm-hmm. So if they do shrink, they don't shrink more than Bean was. You see what I'm saying? So I can keep that consistency. And the key is to make it, to tweak it. So Bean wasn't perfect, you know. He had little flaws here and little flaws there. Nothing major, but not perfect. But there's no perfect dog. So I needed an extreme, exaggerated version of Bean. And that was Beanstalk, okay? And he was extreme in many ways. There's some things about Beanstalk I don't like, but he's not a train wreck by any means. His only thing is his pasterns, front and back, are a little bit on the weaker side, right? Mm-hmm. And most likely because he was heavy. His pasterns were straight, his top line would have been better. If it was a little bit shorter in the back, it would have been good, and his eye separation sucks. So those little flaws, that's not a handicap by any means, nothing that's not fixable, clearly, because he barely ever produces it. So we have dogs like Taz, Fuji, King Kong, and I can name list of dogs that came off of Beanstalk that are almost his size. Some of them his size, one of them bigger, and clean enough for the show ring. So that was the goal, but it took time. See, that's what people don't understand. Time. It's not magic, guys. It doesn't. If you are truly a breeder, you build block by block by block. Everybody wants now. No. It takes
that's true. I just seen a comment. Someone said you can take a shortcut to get a bloodline.
Yeah, there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut.
That's what the game. That's what they like. A lot of breeders do. They try to take shortcuts nowadays, and I think that's what hinders the breed because everybody wants instant gratification.
Correct. That's why exotic began, because they thought, oh, they must be mixing dogs. Bashar must be mixed. I never mixed a dog in my life, ever. There's no need. There's no need. You could see my dogs all look like each other. You could see mom, dad, but they all look the same. You can go back 15 years, they all look the same. So if you can't see that, then you're not a breeder. I mean, it's easy to see.
And that's true because with you and your status, you could hop on any wave that you want. You could have hopped on the exotic wave and you could have done that, but that's very, very true. And if we look over the years, I don't see that. I can't speak for myself. I don't see that. I don't see you going out and mixing with exotics or this or right in every new wave every year that these breeders come up with. So I can definitely say that's definitely true. You have always stuck to your vision, your Muscletone vision,
and that's the key to a bloodline. If you guys really want to call something a bloodline, I really don't care about that word, but that's the key. It's to stick to your vision and build it little by little by little by little. So I have a lot of people who start off new kennels, and a year or two in, they're like, "Oh man, I can't do this. I'm out." And I explain it to them like, okay, when you start off as a Muscletone kennel, I already built the foundation, so it's much easier, right? Because you have the name, you have the marketing behind you, you have everything, so you're a partner, so you're gonna make money faster. But that does not mean if you start your own kennel with your own name that you can't make money. But you have to remember that any business that you start, you gotta give yourself 5 years, okay? 5 years. Mm-hmm. Just because Joe Schmo got lucky and made it in 2, it doesn't mean that's the plan you should have. The plan is 5 years. First year, you invest. Second year, you're still investing and building. Third year, you're just building maybe. barely investing. Fourth year, you're only building, not investing. Fifth year, you're making your profit. Little by little by little by little. Like any business. I don't care if it's a gas station you bought or a barber shop you opened. I don't care what it is. A restaurant. Now, I'm not telling you there's no company out there that did boom in 6 months. It happens. But I promise you, that's not the average. And most of the time, it's luck, not strategy. Strategy lasts a long time. Luck dies. Okay? So we've been in business that many years. It's strategy. It's patience. It's time. It's quality, not quantity. Okay? So if you don't have that, you're going to fail. You know, and I'm not saying 100%, but 90% you're going to fail.
Someone just made a great comment here, and because while you're speaking and how you're explaining it, you know, it's true business. Like, you can tell you're just such a businessman. Someone just made a comment here, and they damn, I missed it. It was a great comment. But they pretty much said most of us don't really understand business, and that's part of the problem.
Very true.
And I have to agree. I have to agree with that. A lot of people just look at it as get 2 dogs, breed them, get some social media like views, sell the dogs, make a quick dollar, a quick buck, and repeat.
That's right. That's what they do. But that's not how it works. It's more than that.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than that. The biggest mistake people make is that they make dogs with money they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So they spend the money on the dog, or they cheapen out on the dog. So, for example,
you're kind of going in and out.
Client who called me and wanted to buy, wanted to build a kennel. He wanted to buy 5 dogs, and he wanted to spend $3,500 to $5,000 on each dog. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, those are last picks, Like, that's okay if you buy 1 or 2 last pick females and you have some badass stud that you want to run him to. By all means, that's a great plan. See some money there. But when it comes to building your entire kennel off of these dogs, you're buying last pick males, you're buying last pick females. You can't build off that. You're better off taking that $30,000 you're about to spend, or $25,000 that you're about to spend, and buy 1 badass female, breed it to a really good stud, and then sell the litter, keep the best bitch out of there, keep her, take that money, reinvest into another badass bitch, and build slowly. But they don't think like that. No, I want 5 dogs, and I want them right now, and I'm going to wait a year for them to grow up. That's not the right way.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they fail. Because then a year or 2 from now, they're producing average of most dogs. So that's where it comes down. Like, you have to think, not be cheap, be strategic. And then I'm always good with my clients when it comes to that. I have clients that come to me and I'm like, no, that's too much. Don't do that. They get like crackheads. They get hooked. Oh, I want to buy another dog. I'm like, bro, slow down. It's not I don't want to sell you a dog, but I don't want to see you fail because you invested in me. So do your breeding. When you sell the pups, come back to me. No, but I got the money. Hold on to it. You don't know. What if the pups die? What if the bitch gets hit by a car tomorrow? Knock on wood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sure. And that's the problem. You have to be able to money manage. You have to be able to properly invest, properly market. But the most important ingredient is patience.
Yeah.
The second most important ingredient is you cannot have hate in your heart for anyone and any dog, no matter what they say about you. They can hate you.
Well, that's hard. That's hard in this community.
That's the hardest thing for people. That's the hardest thing. So
that's hard for a lot. I think that's hard for a lot of these breeders, is that hate, that animosity towards other people.
It's jealousy.
That's one thing they're going to struggle with.
It will destroy you. It will destroy you, and it's not good. It doesn't help anything at all. If you hate someone, it's not gonna make your yard better. It's not. I have breeders, and I won't name them, who bought dogs from me in the past, and out of trust, I've let them have the dogs to pay me later. I don't make this mistake anymore. This is like 15 years, 12 years ago, and they never paid me. And then they had a badass stud, and they owed me money, but I needed that stud's blood, so I paid for it. Imagine someone who owes you $15K, but you're giving them $5,000 to breed to their dog because they're not paying you your money. But that's what I had to do. Because sometimes I gotta look the other way and be like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. He's got something I need anyways. I gotta keep going forward. I can't worry about yesterday. So sometimes you gotta do these things, and that's hard for people to do, and they don't understand that. You know, my wife is a great example of that. She's like, "How are you doing this?" I'm like, "Babe, just let me do my thing, and then go forward." So, it's hard for people to understand that you can't let nothing stop you from your vision. Sometimes you just gotta take hits.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And
you gotta be able to give up dogs.
I see a lot of people, they can take a lot of losses. I see people talk about losses a lot every day, but for the most part, it's probably the loss of a litter.
It happens. I had 2 years. I didn't have one single surviving litter. Everything was dying. Everything was catching parvo. I bleached the crap. I ended up moving. I bought another house, another kid, everything. I couldn't breed dogs anymore in that area. I moved everything.
Wow.
So sometimes you gotta do what you have to do. Another problem people have is they can't seem to get rid of dogs, and this is a huge thing. They hold on to their old shit. That's a big problem. Big problem. I'll go to someone's yard. I'm like, why do you have these 5 dogs? Oh, I have 5 generations behind these dogs of my work, but they're all shit. Get rid of them. Buy new stuff. Give them away. Start over. You can't build on that. That's just gonna slow you down.
It's the truth. It's the truth, you know. And you know, if people get so upset if you tell them something like that, like if you just tell them the truth. If you tell them your dog's trash, you get rid of it. Start over.
See, let me ask you guys something while you're all listening, okay? And this is my perception on things. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is how I view things. If I came into a business like I hang out with a lot of guys who do investments, okay? I don't know anything about investment. I'll be upfront. I've invested and I didn't do too well. So I don't like investing. But when they come to me, they're like, oh, bro, you know, this is the stock you want to buy. You want to put your money here, or you want to do this here. You want to do that there. So you listen to them, right? You're like, oh, they must know what they're doing. They're successful. So I'm going to trust them. So here you go. I put my money here. I put my money there, blah, blah. And then my money's gone, or most of it. So I'm like, shit, what do I do now? I got to get out. So I put my money out, right? But they never tell you to get out. They tell you, no. Just hold on. Ride the wave. Ride the wave, right? But you're panicking. You're like, no, I don't want to ride the wave. I don't want to ride the wave because, shit, I put $1 million in. I'm down to 300.
Yeah.
What if I lose the last 300? That's a lot of money. But they're like, no, ride the wave.
Yeah.
So you ride the wave. Sometimes they're right. It goes up. Sometimes they're wrong. You lose it. It's gambling, right? But if I came to them and they said to me, and I've had investors do that, Bashar, don't put your money there. If you do, put only this amount because we don't know what's going to really happen. Don't put it all. And then you start making money and you're like, oh, I'm going to put more. No. Don't put more. Just be patient. It's okay to be a pig. It's not okay to be a hog because the hog gets slaughtered at the end. Right? So just be a pig. It's okay. Just take a little at a time. I would rather them tell me that than to say, put it all in. Put it all in. And maybe I make it. Maybe I lose it all. But they're telling me to be careful because they don't want me to come back and say, dude, you fucked me. I lost everything.
You know another thing, Bashar, while you're speaking on this, you know another thing they tell people? Oh, it's a tool.
Yeah, a tool is beanstalk. That's a tool. Yuki, that's a tool. It's not a handicapped dog, and it's not a classic dog. It's a dog that carries so much shit that's good to the table, but yet is not the right dog for the ring. That's a tool. Fine. But when I walk into your yard and your dog looks like an Amstaff, that's not a tool. When I walk into your yard and your dog has breathing issues, he passes out every 5 feet, you know, that's not a tool. You know, when I walk into your yard and your dog's rear legs have no angulation whatsoever. They're so stiff they look like a board. You know the dog's handicapped or has hips popping left and right. That's not a tool. That's pet
Mm.
house at best. Some cases put it down because it's suffering. Seriously, some cases the dog is suffering. It's hard to look at. You know, it's like sad.
Yeah, that's true.
So and that's the issue you have. So when I tell people, for example, when I come into your yard and I say, look, bro, this you need to get rid of it. You need to put it down, or you need to give it away, whatever the case by case situation is. And I'm telling them it would be better off for you to get something new and start with the right dog. And they get upset.
Mm-hmm.
But I told them the truth, and I told them something that could benefit them if they followed. Versus I come in and I don't want to offend them, right? I don't want to offend them. So I say,
Yeah.
bro, they're beautiful dogs, man. You should breed it to one of my studs. You're going to get great results. Okay? I'd be lying. I'm lying. Who's benefiting? Me, because you're going to pay me for my stud. But I just lied to you. So, but you want to hear that your dog is great, so you're like, oh, Bashar is such a nice guy. Bashar is not a nice guy. Bashar is honest. I just told you your dog is shit because I'm honest and because I care about you. Because if I didn't care about you, I'll sell you a damn stud. I'll make my money. You're going to produce garbage. You're going to stay in the hole. And you're not going to benefit from anything. So, but if I tell you the truth and you get offended,
Yeah.
then you're not going to grow. So I would rather someone to tell me the truth that hurts, but help me grow, than it's lie to me and let me feel good for 5 minutes because I just heard some sort of validation and then I fail. So
Yeah.
call me arrogant if you want, but at least I'm trying to help you out. You're just not seeing it the right way. Your perception is messed up.
Yeah. You speaking some facts. That's why I'm just sitting here listening. Like you speaking. Hey, I'm learning myself too, but that's true. I mean, you're motivating me to continue to, because I've, even with me having this platform, I became filtered, because it's like when you're a truth, when you just keep it real and tell people the truth, they
don't like it.
And they start to trash you and throw your name in the dirt.
Yeah.
But you're just being honest with them. And like you said, it seems like people just want to be lied to. They want to.
They want to.
They want you to
They want to
tell
live
them
in
what they
lies.
want to hear.
Yeah. And that's the problem you have. And not only in the dogs, it's just in the world in general. Everybody wants to be something that they've imagined in their own head. But sooner or later, my friend, you got to come down to earth and live in reality. You know? And look, I'm not saying anything about anyone who does drugs or gets drunk or anything like that. You know, even my brother and my son smoke weed, but I've never been high and I've never been drunk because I have a very, very paranoia of not having full self-control, because I've been brought up to believe that a man is only a man because of self-control. When a man has no self-control, he's no man at all. Discipline is everything. So I prefer never to touch anything that could get me drunk or high. I'll have a glass of wine every now and then, or not that I really like it, you know, or a cocktail here and there, like socializing, but I'll never have more than one. And all my friends know that about me. So it's I never touch drugs, never touch weed, because that's gonna get you high right away. I don't want to lose self-control, and that's very important. But people who want to be lied to usually want to feel that high that it's fake, not real. I'd rather not be high and live in clarity and soberness, and I'm aware of my surrounding at all times. I can build on that. I can't build on fake shit. That's just in my brain, in my head. I can't. So for you to be able to succeed, you have to be able to separate fantasy from reality. And you have to be able to handle criticism and handle the truth. You know, it is what it is. And you have to. One quote that I always tell my kids, if someone taught me one time, is the most feared individual is the individual who requires no validation from anyone. The most feared individual. And that's the one who's going to get hated the most. I require no validation from anyone. That's why I don't care what they say.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, you can succeed. I don't need validation. I need honesty and truth. I need facts and guidance and teachings. Those are not validation. Don't confuse them. Validation is a good job. You did a great job. No, I don't care if you think I did a good job or not. My work shows I did a good job. I know I did. My bank account tells me I did a good job. My cars in my driveway tells me I did a good job because I've accomplished my dreams, right? Watching my kids enjoy life shows me I did a good job. You know, watching my daughter go to medical school shows I did a good job. These are me seeing what I've worked for. I don't need to hear it. I see it. So if you're just hearing it but you're not seeing it, and the words are making you feel better, maybe there's something wrong here you need to work on. You know.
Yeah. So you're going to nationals this year.
Yeah, I'm leaving here in an hour from now. I need to walk to the back and grab a call. I'll take you guys with me to the back.
Who are you going to be working with at nationals this year?
King Kong. I'm bringing King Kong.
King Kong. Okay.
Yeah. Not that potential I'd like him to be, but it is what it is. You know.
So do you?
You might cut out for a minute. You might cut out for a minute because I'm outside, but they'll come back in when I get out of the kennels. I'm just gonna grab King Kong. I gotta let him run and pee into his stuff before I wash him.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. So guys, while he's doing that, go ahead and smash that like button for me. Don't worry about the live. The live will stay up, and I'll also be editing this live and taking out the chopped up, like the parts that's kind of like paused. In the beginning part where it was kind of like the sound was messed up, guys. So I will edit this live down and cut out those parts so that it just be as smooth and good live as well. So, and I'll be uploading some of it as a reel as well. So just give him some time, but while he's doing that, go ahead and smash that like button for me. But yeah, Bashar needs to offer some mentorship classes. He said a lot. I'm just taking it all in, but he's spoken a lot. No, I'm not going to be bringing Jeremiah on this live. It's just going to turn into a back and forth. I just wanted to. Bashar personally asked me, you know, he said, yeah. So. Yeah, I'll definitely be breaking this live down and uploading a lot of good things that he said. I'll definitely be doing that. Let's see how many. Let me check the likes. Let me check it's 143 people on here. We should have 140. Well, that's with YouTube as well, so I'm not sure exactly the number on Facebook.